Several nights ago, there was a noise at the door. It was like scratching, and we thought it could have been an animal, but it just didn't make sense. So we explained it away. I just got this premonition, and somebody put something on the door, took a picture of it, and then took it back with them. So something was supposed to be delivered to me, but it wasn't delivered. You know how they do. The DoorDash drivers put the food down, then take the food back and eat it. And I'm saying it's got to be one delivery driver that did that, right? So whoever was trying to bring me paperwork, I did not get it. There's so many doppelgangers, gang stalkers. They have people, no matter where I am, people are watching me in the community. And, they pay them a little chump change to keep an eye, tell lies if officials come about me. So you really have to pray long and hard, like I'm praying long and hard, to get everything that is mine, and allow it to come back with interest. And God has already said that it's coming back, and 100 people will be cased up by that time. At least 9 people are dying. That's what God told me, so that my children and I can live free without having to be in fear of people stealing what we have or trying to kill us, harm us, rob us because of what we have. They all be in the grocery store, I don't know what they're watching so for, whether they're trying to get the PIN number. And we shopping with an EBT card, so it ain't like, but they still, they sometimes people are behind us. It seems like they have scanners. They keep looking at their phone. Phone jammers can look like phones. So then my daughter will try to do the pay tap thing. It won't go through. And then I guess they're trying to make us pay for their grocery, but we ain't got no cash, girl. We ain't got no credit, so it doesn't work. And then they'll release it, and then we can do it again, and it'll work. Sometimes I have to do it. She has to do it 3 times. I haven't learned how to do it yet. So I tell my daughter, when I get these feelings, certain people, we're not going to go to the cash register when they're up there. So we'll wait them out, or we'll leave this store and go to another store, or go to another side of the store that might have a register. And I keep telling her, stand behind me so that people can't see. I usually have my head covered because of all the negative energies. These are like low, low, low lives. These are like methed out, just drones. They don't even look like they have any control over themselves. They get a little piece, a little baggie of meth, and they'll do anything. And so they're always where we are. And I keep trying to tell her, you want me to give you the EBT card and you go out into the world, but you don't cover up to protect your numbers. Now they got it so when I go to shop at Sprouts, the manager runs in the office, and I'm like, what are they looking at? What are they looking for? Do they have a camera? Are they looking in the camera to try to see the numbers that I input into the keypad? So God told me to tell you all, when you are in grocery stores, don't just stand there and punch your numbers in. Cover the keypad so that even the camera in the store can't see it, because these people working in these stores, they are struggling too. I was in Walgreens, that was 2 days ago. I needed $1.35 to pay for some, that little toilet gel you put around the toilet, and the gel comes down and cleans the toilet. We're cleaning the tub out, even though it's not functional. We can put the water in the tub and still use the tub, even though the water doesn't run from the actual drain. So I'm getting the tub cleaner, and I asked, can anybody spare $1.34? So people start giving money out of their pockets. I think it was like $4 and maybe 50 cents. Everybody gave. The cashier put the money in the drawer, all of it. Now, if I was asking for my purchase, he was supposed to ring it up, take the payment, and give me the change, right? That would have left me with $3. I could have washed a load of clothes. And I'm looking at him. I said, "How much did you put in that drawer?" He looked at me and smiled. So these people, a lot of the cashiers are fraud workers. They get these jobs so that they can get credit card information. You don't want your receipt. They know how to do, well, they don't know how to do it, but they know the people that know how to do it. Take the receipts and they can do something with the numbers. So you have to be very mindful of the way you move. When you leave the house, you have to understand that you're going into a war zone. Things have gotten so bad, the milk and honey is very little. So people are to the point now where they will still kill and destroy to get a little milk, to get a little honey. So you can't be walking around like you are at the park. Well, even at the park, you have to beware. So what I'm really trying to say, because I can't think of a colloquialism that will match what I'm trying to say, we're at war. You live in the battlefield. You have to train your children. They're going to be sifted like wheat. I mean, sifted like wheat. You have to train your children. You have to prepare your children. You have to practice with your children. Come up behind them and see what they're going to do. They need to know how to cross across to the other side, cross across to the other side, put their hand on, whatever they have. They need to have a little small screwdriver in their sock. They need to have a screwdriver in their bra. They need to have a knife or something in their purse, in their book bag. They need to have several things to protect themselves. And then, most importantly, they need to be equipped with the strength of courage that I'm going to kill this person. You got the angels walking with you if you're a good person. And I'm talking about the good angels, because there are angels that do good and then there's angels that do bad. So you have angelic help. They have to know how to call on the angels, which is simply, angelic host, please help me. I need help. Bring me safety. Cover me. Tell me what to do. And then when they execute protecting themselves, they need to do it unto death. Whoever it is pursuing them, you don't want to stab them and run. You need to keep stabbing until you take them down. If you run, they're likely to catch you. These people do this as a profession. There are people. There's a movie titled Alone, Alone. This one I think was made in 2020, and it's about a professional serial killer. And so I'm saying this to you because there are people who are professional human traffickers. There are people who are professional organ traffickers. This is what they do. And they say, "Honey, I'm going on a business trip and I'll be back." Or, "Honey, I'm going to the golf course." Or, "Honey, I'm going to play basketball with the fellows." And they're out scouting. Your little children are at the park and you feel safe enough to send them down there by themselves or with a sister or a brother, and you're thinking, "Oh, well, there's a lot of people at the park and maybe the park has cameras." These cameras, you can't even hardly see anything. So back to this movie Alone. He pretends that his car is broke down. He has his arm in a sling. So he's trying to present himself as not a threat. And the lady doesn't want to be bothered with him, but he just keeps finding a way to be in her presence because she's a mark. And now that I'm thinking about it, I am thinking about, what did she say her name was? Patrice Atkins. Atkins, Atkins. Every time I would go to the flea market, I would run into Patrice. And at that time, my children were rather young, and my family was always like, "You shouldn't lead them by themselves. You need to have somebody there with them." That's Alpha, my big sister, right? So these children are 10 and they're 7 years apart. 3 years apart, excuse me, 10, 7, and then that would have made the twins 12. So they really don't need supervision. I mean, my goodness, in some African cultures at 14, you have the right to have a business, be married, have children, and be living the life. But here we retard our children. So most of the children are living in a subtle, retarded state because of how we keep them back. And every time I saw Patrice, I was like taking that to mean a sign that God was sending her to me to help me. Now I was leery of her because she was always talking to Letitia. And even though Letitia was supposed to be my friend, it felt like she was not my friend. You know what I'm saying? So to let a person come and live with me and be inside the house, I really needed to feel comfortable. But I took it to be a sign that God said, let her in. And I did. And when my brother and sister put her out of the house, I put her in the back room. We have a little back room that used to be a porch. Then Ava, the social worker, my youngest sister, came over and told her she couldn't be there because of liability. You know, she might get hurt or something. And in the back room, I had like thick cushion carpeted floor. It was nice. And I had a bedside commode like you use for the elderly people if they can't walk to the bathroom, but you put the bedside commode next to them. And then I had a divider, so I created a little bathroom. Then I had a microwave and a convention oven and a toaster, so you could live back there and you never have to enter the main house. And I took her to the pool to go shower, or she could, take water and put it in a tub and wipe herself off. She didn't have to come in the main house where we were. They told her she couldn't stay there, and I said, you came here to help me. I'm not going to just turn you away. It was cold. It was December, I think, something like that. Wait a minute. No, it wasn't December. September? I can't remember. It was during COVID time. So I let her sleep in my 2006 Buick LaCrosse that was parked in the driveway. And then I said, Lord, you got to help me help her. So I took her down to Grace Point Coffee Shop, and they had some kind of COVID grant that was going on. And they took her in, I think that was September. She stayed there for 5 or 6 months. She stayed there to September. So maybe that was, let's see, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I think it was like February. I can't remember the months now. And they gave her free housing at the La Quinta Inn for about 6 to 8 months. They helped her, counselors from the brigade, counselors from Metropolitan Ministries came and helped her with her papers. She was from Jamaica. Is she the one that crossed me up? I don't know. I have a fraudulent husband somewhere and a fraudulent mother. So now, for some reason, I'm wondering if Patrice and Letitia might have fraudulently put together a marriage for me and her son. She used to call her son Ethan or Ethan. And he lived in London. And her other son was in jail for life because he came home. They had a house somewhere in like, what do you call that place? Fish Hawk or near Ruskin. They had a house over there. And he and his wife separated. He came back to the house and she had another guy there. And I think he killed the wife, or maybe the wife and the man. and he's in jail for life. And so, as I'm telling the story to you about Patrice and my discomfort with me letting her stay in the house and me seeing her the 3 times, I think it was a setup. I think they kept putting her in my presence like they were following me on the bus in a car, and they would drop her off so that she and I could meet up and I could think that this is heaven sent, right? Because I've been praying about getting help. And this is how slick and smooth people are. And this is the same tactic that the guy on Alone did. He kept putting himself in her presence, trying to interact with her. And she kept trying to get away from him. So he blocked the road with the car and had the arm sling on to try to make her think he really just needed help, and he was feeble. Some people will be, now we used to use a wheelchair to get around, and when I stood up and walked, people were shocked. I said, listen, this is an electric wheelchair, this is a vehicle, you can use it for anything. You got to expand your mind. But people assume that if you're in a wheelchair, you're handicapped, and that's not my fault. But people would try to give me preference and say, hey, come on up here because you're handicapped. I'm not handicapped. I'm using this vehicle, the Quickie. It travels 5.9 miles an hour. It's a beast. And I lost it in that fraudulent eviction from my childhood home from 6010 North 32nd Street by A Plus Properties, a fake LLC. That was June 2nd of 2022, and life has been lifing ever since then. My mother, Dorothy Atkins, and my father, Arthur Atkins, my mother and father of record. Now, if I have another set of parents, that remains to be seen. I won't go any further than that. They left 6 pieces of property to 4 children. My mother died last. The will said share equally. So that means I get 1.5 property. Each of my siblings get 1.5 property. I got 0. My greedy brother, Anthony, took pretty much everything, but I'm sure his sisters were in on it and they got their pound of flesh in some kind of way. Jervik Holdings, we got a $30,000 loan from them back in 2008. And this was the beginning of our woes, I will say. I really regret signing for that. I'm not sure. Let's see. Something's going on in the environment. And not that they're a bad company. I'm not talking about the company per se. I'm talking about my decision to sign. We all 4 had to sign because once we did probate, there were 4 names on the property because she gave it to us equally, 25% each sibling. My mom said, don't sell this childhood home. So they knew I was never going to sell it. I got out into the world, got me a job, and I was trying to figure out how to work a second job, and that's why I needed help for somebody to be there to watch the children for me. Just maintain them. I'm buying food. I'm buying, 2, 3 rotisserie chickens a week and going to the hospital and buying oatmeal and grits so that all they have to do is get the food and microwave it, right? Cut up the rotisserie chicken, make some instant mashed potatoes. I've already cooked rice. I've already cooked broccoli or whatever for the week. So all you got to do is make a plate. But many times when you get people that are downtrodden to come and help you, they have a hard time functioning. Now, Miss Patrice, she was pretty much on the up and up. My friend Ebony, she was so hung up on her boyfriend, probably due to love spells and some kind of voodoo. She was not able to really work out, and Tansy, she sees herself as your equal on your level, with the same rights and responsibilities and perks as you. So she wants to be where you are. So if she's with you, she's not there with the kids. That didn't work out. And thanks be to God, we made it anyway. And they're big, beautiful children now, and they're able to definitely help themselves. There's something going on outside, and I heard the same noise at the door. So that's really interesting. As I was talking to you about me regretting signing for the $30,000 loan with Jervik Holdings, that's when the commotion started. So I don't think there's anything to really reiterate. The things I wanted to say is protect your information. You know, they're going to be trying to force chips in us if they don't already secretly put them in us when we go to the hospital. If you have the credit cards, there's some kind of wallets you can buy that has some kind of metal that protects these scanners. And I don't know how true that is. I'm hoping and praying that it'll be a while before they get rid of cash, because these teenagers, they are really into this hacking. The Word of God says that in the latter days, men will become lovers of themselves. And I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure we're in that time, because these children, they don't really seem like they want to work. And I don't know how this culture is going to pan out. It looks like there's a revitalization, at least in my neighborhood. It's being handed over to the Spanish people. And I'm just going to say hola and welcome, because one thing you can guarantee when you have, the Spanish people, they're going to be open pretty much for the hours they say they're going to be open. They might speak to you a little rough, but you're going to get good customer service. Your shelves are going to be stocked. You're going to have somebody there that's going to work. And for African Americans, I really think your position at this point is to pray and keep order. I think that's what God has as your position, and you don't want to take that position. That's your position, to pray and keep order. Like the Levites, you got to keep the church, make sure the incense are burned, make sure the the altars are clean, make sure the yard of the church is kept. I really feel like God told me to tell you that, and I haven't prayed for confirmation, so I don't want to say God told me to tell you that, but I think that's our position, to pray and keep order, to watch, pray, and keep order. And I started being very frustrated with the Spanish people, like they're taking over our community. But see, there's levels, and there's movements, and there's promotions that have to take place. And as people die off, you have to promote people, right? As new people come up, you have to train people. So this continuum has to continue to happen. And I guess that's what and how neighborhoods switch over. I don't know. That's the way I have decided to make peace with it. But regardless of what happens in Live Oak Square, Unity Circle, 6010 North 32nd Street, my mom said, don't sell this house. So even as the neighborhood changed, we were supposed to continue to be there. And the house is still owned by my family. They done played games and changed names and everything, and they feel like it's going to be okay, but it's not going to be okay. And Mom, we are going to go back home, and we're going to make sure we keep that property in our legacy for the great, 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 great grandchildren. We are currently dethroning your oldest child, Anthony, because he is a defector. Greed has taken over him, and quite honestly, I told him this to his face. I call him legions because I really feel like he has more than one demonic presence in his vessel. And he won't be here much longer if he isn't already deceased. I don't keep up with him anymore. The last inkling of him was he was in my dream, and he was at the house that you all used to stay in on Spruce Street. I think that was Spruce Street. I know y'all moved from that house to Spruce Terrace, the house that Uncle Johnny, Tanya, and Tommy used to live in. Tommy approached me, Uncle Johnny's ex-wife. Well, not ex-wife, he died. Uncle Johnny's widower, Auntie Mercedes, is his ex-wife, Crystal's mom. A lot of thoughts are coming through, so I'm trying to manage them all. I was at the laundromat, and I'm skipping stories, so I'm moving stories now. So the last inkling I had of Anthony, it was in a dream. He was at the house that you, Mom, Dorothy, and Arthur used to live in on Spruce Street in West Tampa. Dad told me he used to see a lady in a nightgown walking around with no head. Now, as they keep talking to me about the tarot community is talking about me having a different mother and father, and my mom was killed and buried in the backyard, and my dad was in prison or something, but they left me a large trust fund. And basically, the weird things that have been happening in my life has been because you all wanted to keep me close to you so that you could continue to dip into the trust fund that I was supposed to get when I turned 18, that these people are fighting me over now and trying to take my whole nominal life and kill me so that they can split up and have a good time. And maybe they did get it and split it up, but because God informed me, I informed the necessary FBI, CIA, TSA, DOJ, they have gotten that money back. I've helped to solve several crimes, and so I'll be getting reward money for those crimes I helped solve. And at this house, Uncle Johnny allegedly had another daughter. I think her name was Joanne. My dad is a high-ranking veteran and left me quite a bit of stuff. Grandma Irene was the gatekeeper, and after they murdered her with either poison and spell work or poison and spell work, Anthony said, "Come, let's go to Georgia for the reading of the will." And I was like, I'm not going to see Irene. I meant she was gone, but Irene was talking trash to me before she left, and she told me she thought it was better that my twins that were kidnapped legally from me by the 13th Judicial Circuit Court live with my brother as opposed to live with the mother that gave birth to them. And this was retaliation from my Reality Speaks TV show. As an activist, when you upset the government, they put your name on a list and you never get off that list, and they follow and watch you, and in times of weaknesses they attack you. So even now I want to go back down to the 13th Judicial Circuit Court and ask Ronald Figueroa, who was pretending his name is Christopher Sabella, to check on things, but God told me to go higher. File complaints with the Judicial Qualifications Commission, with the Human Relations in Tallahassee. Go back to Washington, file your complaint, stump the pavement there. Let them know that there is a corrupt courthouse, the whole thing from the top to the bottom, the clerk's office. And they are stealing people's inheritances through the probate courts. and they need to send in the FBI to investigate this thing. So I don't even go messing around down there anymore with those crooks. That's all I can call them. Just because you're a judge doesn't mean you're a righteous person. If you're stealing and you violated your oath, I'm pretty sure that's something close to treason, and that makes you a criminal. Now, I can't make a citizen's arrest because his bailiff, Thomas O'Manzi, is not going to go along with that. But if I say to Thomas O'Manzi, you know, they have committed criminal acts. Now, you have the authority to make a citizen's arrest. Thomas O'Manzi is not going to bite the hand that feeds him. And the bailiffs in that courtroom, when I asked them questions about Ronald Figueroa, they're very, very defensive about Ronald Figueroa. And as you should be, you want to protect your president, but if your president is corrupt, you are supposed to want to uphold the democracy. And you can't do that by protecting criminals. Once you become a criminal, you're supposed to be subject to jail. You don't get immunity when you know you're doing wrong. So I had to call on Michael and the spirit team, Gabriel, Daniel, Vehuel, Raziel, Sadiqiel, Haniel, Uriel, Puriel, Sandoval, and the spirit of the creator that created this earth. Now I done went all off. You see what I'm saying? And I done talked about 6 different things. So I pray and trust that my trust fund is returning to me. My pay from Liberty Staffing, they're going to pay me. And they're going to give me extra for what they've done to me. Amalie Oil has already given me money for an idea that I submitted, and for the theft of legal paperwork while I was at work, and the denial of pay. They hijacked my pay. And I'm not saying Adam did it, but it was during the couple of weeks that I worked in dumping, the last week of January into February 10th, with Mr. Dickinson at Amalie Oil in dumping. Whenever something is returned back to the plant, you have to cut open those containers and dump it back into a container. And that's the dumping department. It's only first shift, 7 to 3. Ernest worked with me. Mr. Brown worked with me. Cassandra worked with me. And then that last Friday, they sent 2 other employees that just walked around and did nothing because it wasn't that much work. So Miss Sharon knows. Sharon, I kept in touch with Sharon more so than Tom. And Ian was allegedly gone. But you know how they do. They'll say they fired him and then they'll move him to another location or send him on vacation until it blows over. But they're still with the company. But they'll lie to you and tell you that they're gone. And I couldn't understand why businessmen and women, we're talking about no more than $500. You would prefer to be put on YouTube and have your entire organization investigated when you know you ain't doing right. You already know you ain't doing right. I didn't know you wasn't doing right, but you knew you weren't doing right. Have your entire organization investigated and you know you running it like thugs, instead of just paying out the little $500 so I could go pay my storage unit, pay my insurance, and keep my life going. You took my whole life down, telling me no. And then sometimes I go to pick up my paperwork and Miss Sharon talking about, Ian said you already came and picked it up. What? Y'all don't know what I look like? Y'all gave my paperwork to somebody else. And she could have been lying. They never even prepared it to give it to me. But that's what she said on 3 different occasions. So now that's a big thing. And I'm down on the ground now, and I should be able to go sign in at Liberty Staffing and get sent out on assignment go safely, work, and come back safely. And when I was last there, I was like, bitch, you know they like to send you on these assignments. You got to get in the car and go with somebody else now that your car is down. Well, hell, now my car is completely missing. I don't even know who moved it from 3304 East Hillsborough Avenue. And I haven't called Dr. Twiggs to ask him anything. I mean, he knew my situation. I told him what was happening. I told him I have plenty of money, and yes, I still do. They're trying to keep it from me. I looked up to Dr. Twiggs for so long. It's just like, I don't know. These men, they form collaborations and pacts with each other, and they have allegiance to one another. I looked up to him like, kind of like a dad, you know? It takes a lot of intelligence and time to become a dentist. And as a black man, to see a black dentist, he's consistent, you know, he does good work. Outside of the mercury being put in my fillings, I didn't have any real problems. And that's what he was trained to do. He wasn't the only dentist that did that. All the dentists were doing that. So I couldn't really fault him for that. I swallowed two of them, and ended up going through heavy metal poisoning. But I realized that's the American Dental Association. That wasn't Dr. Twiggs' fault. And so I still hold out hope. I still want to hold him in high regard, despite what we went through when I was at his building. And he may know where my car is. He may be holding my Four Patriot generator. I don't know. When I am emotionally hurting and I feel like I could go off because I'm angry or hurt, I don't subject myself to those situations. So I'm not going to go over there and check until I'm emotionally strong enough to do that. And that might cause me to lose something, like my car is gone. But it's better than me going off and ending up in my physical body being in a worse situation. So, Dr. Twiggs, I'm hoping and praying that the witches and warlocks have not killed you, because you helped me by default and you were patient with me. I really wasn't expecting to be evicted on what was that, July 25th of 2023, but everything happens for a reason, I'm sure. And just because you're a dentist doesn't mean you don't have bills that you can't meet. You kept saying, I need money to pay my taxes. And I didn't understand why the money from Les Brown didn't reach you. But then I realized now, my brother, my sisters, the hackers, the doppelgangers, they might have stole that money. Maybe you really didn't get it. So they could have stole the money. I kept saying to you, where did the money go? Where did the money go? And you're like, what money? So I realized they could have taken that money, and you got the short end of the stick too. So I'm going to assume that that's what happened and apologize to you. And I look forward to atoning for that and making sure you get paid. I'll track all those things down once I get my money. I feel like I don't need to do any more reiterating. Every time I reiterate, it makes the video longer and it takes a long time to upload. I intended to say just a couple of things. So it's the teacher in me. When you're in the grocery store, protect the pad. We're reiterating. Try not to carry your cards unless you absolutely have to. Get a lesser card, you know, like get a card that you have just a little bit of money on, and then transfer over what you think you need for the day. Don't carry your main credit cards with you. Leave them in your safety deposit box or in your safe at your house. Don't carry credit cards with $30,000 and $40,000 limits on them. It's just dangerous. The movie alone, it shows you how people observe you, and they think that you're a mark, and then they try to get in your energetic field so that they can take advantage of you. Be careful of your surroundings. Always be willing to kill to save your own life. It's the American way. Nobody is going to be mad with you if you overstab somebody that was trying to kill you. So my children are always like, Mom, if we do that, we might go to jail. I'm like, if you're dead, you can't might go to jail. So what you want to do is live. And if a man is pursuing you and you stab him once and you run, you're still dead. I mean, it still takes several minutes to bleed out. So if he can get to you, which more than likely he can, he's a man, he's stronger, faster, and he has the desire to get to you. So you're dead. So you have to make your first strike your deadly strike, and then you got to keep striking until your help comes. Whenever that is, that's when you relent. And you're probably doing the world a favor. People who think it's okay to kill, kidnap, human traffic, take people to sell their organs, these people need to be out of here. Who does that? Who does that? And going back to the movie Alone, the lady was smart enough to take the man's phone. And she called and said, she called, and the child answered the phone and said, Daddy, Daddy. And she said, put your mom on the phone. Put your mom on the phone. And when the wife got on the phone, the lady that was being pursued by the serial killer, she said, do you know where your husband is? Is this your husband's phone? What's going on? My husband is on a business trip. And she said, no, your husband is a murderer. And if I am never seen again, it's because your husband killed me. Now, you know how many business trips this man done took? And he was even saying to the lady that he was planning to kill, you know how many people have told me they'll give me all of their money and all of this? And he still killed him anyway. He probably raped him and killed him. Maybe he sold some organs. Maybe he just, some people like to have sex with dead bodies. Some people like to put them in soup and eat them. All kind of sick stuff is going on. And I guess that's one of the benefits of us being evicted. We have been put out into the world, and we went all the way down to the bottom. And so we've met all kinds of people. And it's like, whoa, I wouldn't have been able to prepare my children for this because I didn't know it was out here. I still had on rose-colored glasses. So getting out here in the muck helps you to see what's out here. And this guy is telling me that, oh, in Mexico they sell their daughter's virginity for $1,000. I'm like, what kind of sickness is this? And why is he telling me this? Right? I got my two girls with me. We're at the Trinity Cafe on Bush and 22nd Street. And this is the conversation. I'm like, well, that was in the conversation. We were talking about other things. The other things he told me, how I could get the money that I needed by opening online accounts and then taking the $250 overdraft protection and use it and, do it again and then make the minimum payment. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That all sound like stealing to me. I don't have the means to pay it back, so why am I going to get it? And I don't need more things to think about. See, women, we need safety, security, and a free mind. Not a mansion and a Bugatti, and every 30 days we got to figure out how to put out $30,000. I mean, how you going to pay for it? Even if you get a modest house, that's $3,000 a month. No, let me rent a room or live with somebody, take care of the elderly or the children. They pay me, give me room and board. I save my money up and go buy me something cash. It can be something small. But if something happens, it's mine, it's paid for, and I can raise my children in peace. I don't have to be out here trying to figure out how to con people, who I got to suck off to get this and that. No. I want to live a peaceful life. And I meet a lot of people, and there's people in my family, they want the shinies. And the shinies cost. If you lose your job, you got to create another job. Now you looking to slap somebody upside the head, or you looking to sleep with somebody husband because, he and his wife are on the going through hard times, and she's not, sleeping with him. So you gonna get in there and get your $300 to $500 for a couple of hours of fun? No, that's still the long way around. Energetically speaking, the karma that comes with those kind of decisions is hefty. So I'm just gonna cut off now. Peace.